Sir, you're on the air.
Very good. This is the August 11th facilities meeting of Council Rock School District. I'm Jerry Grupp. I'm the chair of the committee. I'm going to go around the board room and ask that everyone who's in the room just give who they are and their relationship to their board member, or if they're a member of the public.
Rick Abramson, I'm the president.
Wendy Thomas,
Board member.
board member, yeah, we're down.
Kapua Rice, board secretary.
Matt Featherston, IT director.
Mike Thornworth, board member.
Robert Frazier, superintendent.
Doug Taylor, Director of Operations.
We're going to start with the agenda as it's laid out this evening. We do have a special item for voting this evening, which has to do with emergency repairs, but requires a quorum of the board. When 2 additional board members show up, we'll move to that item, make the motion, make a presentation, some discussion. We'll have public comment on that item, and then we'll vote that. But for right now, we're going to turn it over to Doug Taylor, Director of Facilities, and let him start the meeting for facilities.
Thank you, Jerry. So agenda-wise, the first item is the special meeting. We will, as Jerry said, go back to that as soon as we have a couple more board members present. Next is energy management, a quick update on it. Facilities improvements project update. I will talk a little bit about Newtown and Holland. Capital improvement projects, the summer projects, just a quick overview of what's happening there. Some miscellaneous items and of course public comment. We're going to skip through the first couple slides. Those are the special meeting items. Energy management update. So we're still looking good. We did get the most recent report. We are, from an energy score standpoint, up another point. We're at 81 against the 86 baseline. Our current total cost per gross square foot for electric is at 95 cents a square foot. Before this whole process started, we were over $2 a square foot. So we can see that we've not only reduced tremendously, but we continue to maintain that very good level throughout the district. And we're trying to improve that even though we are in a good spot. Aramark Energy Services is working on retro commissioning with us. They are looking at Goodnow Elementary School at this time. So I don't have an update on it because that just started this week. A lot of the items that we talked about in the past have been resolved. Have a running list here. Rolling Hills, we went over last meeting. We're still investigating the issues at Rolling Hills. The corrective measures for Holland L are in progress. Same with this slide. Some are resolved. There's nothing new here to go over. Next meeting, I'll have more on that. I'll bring you good news report. Facilities improvements project update. Hi. The new Newtown Middle School project. From an approval standpoint, we are in good shape. The land development agreement is off to the township. They have it. The Pliget agreement is with them. At this point, we're waiting for the formal building permit and associated cost. When we get it, we'll take care of it. The new Newtown Middle School schedule is going well. We are, I dare to say, ahead of schedule on that project, even though it's a 2-year project, but we are in very good shape. We have a lot of things finished out ahead of where it was originally scheduled. I won't go through all these items other than to say that if anything ever becomes concerning to me or looks like it's going to slide, I will certainly be in front of this group to make you aware of it before it becomes a problem down the road. So I will always be conservative with that. I will not come to you and say we have a big problem. I'll come and say I have some concerns and we'll talk about it. So I don't have that comment tonight for either project. We do have, from a site standpoint, a lot of the stormwater features in place, certainly to construct the building pad itself. So that's moving well. The August 25th to June 20th schedule is basically making sure that we have the drop-off ready to go. We have all the stormwater work in place, so when we're ready to construct these curbs and go to town, the bus loop, curbing, and base paving is actually beginning to start there, so we're actually going to get some of that paving in place early Never the finished wearing course, just the base course. So we'll always just have the rough paving to work over. In the last phase, we'll put all the wearing down and make, nice road surfaces and striping.
Doug?
Yes.
Why would you pave ahead of, and there's a reason, I can't, ahead of putting in your pad for the building? Is it just,
Anything we can do to
management,
keep the site stable and minimize the amount of dirt we take on the street.
because you're gonna have heavy equipment coming across that?
Yeah, that's good. I mean, that's fine, actually, because if we're gonna encounter any issues with subsurface,
Okay.
I encourage that heavy traffic. Before we put wearing down, we proof roll to make sure that there's no movement in paving anyway. So we can take a loaded triaxle, have them take some runs back and forth.
I was sure there was a reason, I just couldn't.
I'm good for stabilizing as much as we can early, and
Okay.
again, the more we can pack that early, the better, really, for down the road. Just going back to this, so you're aware, the temporary parking lot is in place, it is striped. We've actually created some additional parking within the existing loop and across the back of the building. So we have ample parking between this and what we have over here, and of course out in front, to facilitate the school functions throughout the year. From a photo standpoint, as I said, we took out what was the island in here to create more space, so that is cleaned up. We connected the drive back around the building so we can maintain circulation around the building for buses, for emergency vehicles. And now you can see that we actually created about 10 spaces in the middle. We still have a loop for parents to come around. We still have circulation in the back. We've added a series of lights around the building, around the back side and the far side of the building, so we have well-lit spaces in the evening where we will have vehicular traffic. Also on that, you can see we've clearly separated the construction activities from the existing school, so we'll always have that barrier in place. We're also going to put some orange posts across here for the plow and for parents, so that there's a little bit more of a buffer between the paving and the fence as well. This is a temporary parking lot. As you can see, we put site lights in, so that will be lit at night or in the mornings, depending on when people are coming and going. From a site standpoint, we have the sewage injection station in place. We will have to pump from the elevation of this building to where sanitary is up in the street, pump up from the lift station and get it out to the street. So we grind the pumps in to do so. And then we have a force main after this that runs all the way out to the existing system. You can see we're getting fire lines in place, the post indicating valve, moving along. The site pad is stone. This is a deep sanitary pipe well below the stone, maybe 5 feet below. These are the stub ups. They'll actually scratch the stone and run to all the respective toilet rooms and sinks. The rebar was delivered for the first phase. We're working on foundation systems for the building. Here you can see the construction of one of the piers for the columns, the base plate, the trenching. You can see the rebar. They're putting chairs down so that the bars aren't against the ground. We're getting the minimum dimension of concrete around those that's required. Here you can see some of the footings that have been poured. These are the athletic fields in the back. This is the first round of footings. We have about 200 linear feet of footings poured at this point. This is the start of the electrical room. So this is Tyler State Park in the back, the bus loops back in here. This is the beginning of what will be a very busy electrical room. The building energy will come in through this area. There's a duct bank across the back that feeds it. You can see the stubs that start to go into the building slab. So they're very
So
busy.
those are all conduits for.
Those are just conduits for when they start to pull all the wires.
Now, out of curiosity, are we also, because I don't know, are we doing conduits to a data center room as well, to any networking room, or are we going to run all that through the ceiling?
Most of that's above ceiling from
It'll be in
IDA.
conduits too. It'll be in conduits as well.
Right,
No, most of that is in a cable tray that runs above the ceiling. So we put in.
but it's platinum rated, yeah, it's on it.
Yeah, and we have a cable tray, so that the reason for that is it changes so often. Oftentimes they want to move things around, so you can easily go above a ceiling, pull it out of that rack do what you want to do, and then go into the respective.
You made it easy. That was what I was getting at.
Back in the day, we used to, in every classroom, no architect wanted to see any exposed cable tray or anything, or wire molding across a wall. Now in every classroom, across the teaching wall and the back wall, we purposely put the raceways so that you can open them up and make changes as technology changes and things like that. So we're mindful of changing technologies. This is Green Lane. This is the electrical service and the start of the duct bank from Green Lane to our site. This is looking back. This is Tyler State Park again. The bus loop's over in here. This is the baseball field construction. You can actually see the infield, the dirt, the grass area. This is scheduled to be completed within a year, so we can actually get an established lawn there, a nice growing season of a year or two before we start using it heavily. We'll also create an area for PE classes initially, so we'll have an area that's well established that keeps us off some of the other spaces. The staging area, the trailers, this area is probably one of the nicest I've seen as far as its surroundings. It's sitting back, tucked into Tyler State Park. We have power running to it, and come next job meeting, we'll be out of the building and working out of the trailers with the contractors, since kids will be back, we'll be out of the school as well. Building pad, again, just a lot of underslab roughing happening, and the footings getting ready for the delivery of steel, so we can start putting up, some of the first phases of work, working from that boiler plant area out, so we can get the heart of the systems in and then start feeding all the rest of the building. You want to go through Holland Middle School, then go back?
Yeah.
Okay. So Holland Middle School, again, in very good shape. The biggest challenge with Holland Middle School is just phase 1. It's phase 1 through 1D. Phase 1 is the tech ed area that we had to build in the front end of the building so that we could remove the tech ed in the existing area and free it up for the first phase of the classroom. The contractors are there, they're working hard, they're doing everything they can to get that space ready. The challenge with that first phase is procuring materials in time, because they were awarded contracts, they go through submittals, they order their products, but the products are not, some are not as quick to be delivered as others, like HVAC units, which have sometimes 16 weeks lead time, light fixtures, things like that. So there's a chance in that area we may temporarily rewire some of the existing lights in the tech ed until the new lights come, and we'll switch those out. HVAC equipment is shipping Friday, planned to be here next week. We will be in good shape then to have the classroom and the tech ed space ready. So otherwise, we're really tearing the building apart relative to renovations. I have some good shots to show you. Again, I have the schedule here for the first phase of site. Everything here is in good shape. The other piece that we're really pushing for is the first phase parking lot, which we want to have before kids come back. The curb will go in next week. The paving goes in the following week. So the parking lot construction is moving along as well. Yes.
Anything can be done to accelerate the shipping so you don't have to do the temporary weddings?
No, they've done, the electrical contractor has asked them to expedite it. They're waiting as long as they can in hopes that they come. But it's likely that, come December at the Christmas break, the holiday break, that we will go in there and switch things out. And, and everybody's okay with that. We're understanding of that. From a site standpoint, as I mentioned, they're working on the parking lot over in this area. All the storm structures are in. The underground stormwater management is in. They're laying out for the curbs now. The curb work starts next Tuesday. Then the end of that week or the following, all the base paving goes in, some temporary striping, and we're in good shape in that area. From a building pad standpoint, we are working on the back side for the new auditorium. The new classroom construction is established here. You'll see some work happening in there. And work up here in the building services for chillers, for the electrical service. And where the existing locker room was up at the top, that's been demolished, and we're preparing for the new construction there as well.
That went down in a hurry.
It did. It did. Actually, too fast in some cases,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's all okay. We will maintain emergency egress to the fields that we still have in place. We always want to be sure that if there's school events, if we ever need to get an ambulance back to those areas, we can. So we are making it clear that they have to provide that emergency egress to those areas.
Stone?
Yeah, stabilized stone to that point, or wherever it became the original grass area where they would have driven to, the same thing that was there. The other thing I've added to this project now is all of the classroom renovation phasing. So I'm not going to go over all these dates, but for all of phase 1, I have the scheduled dates on here. If you want to take a look after the presentation, these will all be in the PowerPoint to take a look at, but it talks about phase 1A. These are actually keyed into the colors that are on the floor plans that the contractors have. Everything is looking real good through the dates that are projected for these respective phases. And as I said, it goes through phase 1D for phase 1. I'll go through those. Phase 2A through 5A, I'll give you more detail as we move to those come January of 17. There's really no sense in keeping all that on here now. So those colors that you saw correspond to what's on here. So phase 1 is the tech ed renovation, scheduled to be complete this month. And by the end of this month, we will be in good shape, pending that HVAC equipment does come as planned. If it doesn't, we'll know by the end of the day tomorrow if it doesn't ship, and then we'll work with Rich. It's really essentially a classroom space that we would have to facilitate for as long as it takes for that equipment to come. So we've talked about a plan B if that were the case. So we do have a contingency plan in place. I'm hopeful that that doesn't have to happen in this phase. Phase 1B are the classrooms off to the back, and we do have the pad established. We have the micropiles in place for the foundations to start, and phase 1A renovation is entirely gutted, and new stud construction is going in. All of the classrooms are laid out, and it's looking really good. It's neat to go in and see a space from 1970 that was open space, that we had pizza pie shapes in, that are now open again, defined circulation, to see daylight coming into the classroom. It's really exciting to see.
Doug, I have to commend you on the number of windows.
Yeah.
Managed to squeeze in everywhere you can. So.
We wanted to get natural light as much, as many places. I also think natural light is helpful for kids to find their way through buildings. You can get a sense of where you are by looking out windows as you go down hallways, and it gives you a sense of where you are. So the way this is phase 1A below and above. So they're stacked. The HVAC that serve these spaces serve stacked spaces, so when we shut a unit off, we're not shutting it off to where kids are going to be occupying a space. They still have existing systems to serve their rooms. So then from a site standpoint, you've seen this picture before. This is where the tech ed work is happening. This was the shot of building the new wall at the tech ed.
Doug, you have one elevator in that building now.
Yes.
How does this work in terms of when students are in the building? Will that elevator always be available?
That elevator will always be available when
To all
it's not
phases.
the new elevator.
Right. Right, so
Either way, you'll have vertical circulation.
that's fine. You understand what I'm saying.
This is the new shot, again, of that space. Now, this is drywall, but when the building is finished, all of the corridor walls, the drywall, get a ceramic tile up to 6 feet on those walls, a wainscot. So they'll be protected and sustainable for, I see, 30 years of tile. Exposed drywall is just never a great product in a hallway. This was the space, and now you can see the windows are actually now installed. This is the large shop area. You're standing in the classroom looking into the shop area. They were preparing the floor. Originally, this floor was scheduled for a sealer of just a sealer over the existing concrete, but as we looked at it, the floor has terrazzo that comes into it that was ground. It has patching around it. It had cuts all over it from filling in. So we talked about putting a thin set epoxy system over the entire floor so that it clearly covers all of those irregularities and feels like a new floor and is a durable floor for that kind of space. And we had that product elsewhere, so that contractor is going to put that in this space. It held us up about a week, but the finished product was real bad that we would have had otherwise. You would have asked what we were thinking.
That's self-levels and stuff too, so you have a nice,
It's self-leveling.
yeah, a nice smooth.
So this is that office space, the classroom, the workspace beyond, and the office space in between. This is the existing locker room. So this was the boys' locker room that faces the fields. We took the other locker room away. The way we're going to address that is we're building a partition between these, in the existing room, between the two, with doors at the ends that provide a boys and girls locker room until the other locker room is back up in an operation. So we still have what we need for kids to use for lockers moving through the next year. This is the existing space downstairs on the ground level of the building where Family Consumer Science is. We built a partition to separate existing from new. And more importantly on this, the stair tower that faces the fields with the classrooms on either side terminates the egress from the stair tower from the upper level. So to address that, we created, as you come out of this stair tower, you come out of this right here, a safe, this is a fire-rated hallway with a door to the exterior. So we still have a safe means of egress from the upper level to the lower level and out to blue sky. We've created some new temporary fire hallways to do that. So we've thought about how the egress works as we go through all the phases. This is the lower level. Again, this will be the science area in the existing building, but all of this underground piping had to go in to serve new sinks for the science rooms. The slab on grade work is always tough and the most expensive in an existing building because of all the cutting and patching. Obviously, on an elevated slab, not so bad. You drill a hole in the floor and you just get the piping in from the ceiling. Again, a couple more shots of that lower level. So you can see all the partitions have been removed. And we are now laying out for new construction. We're putting vapor barrier in, we're taking the joints, getting reinforcing in, actually putting dowels into the existing concrete, and then pouring new infill. So those pieces should not move at all once they're in place. Tough to see, but this is the area where we're going to be working. This is going to be occupied space. We'll have insulation in here and board on both sides to separate existing space and construction area. This is an existing classroom, so you can see that pie shape that they used to have. Kind of a good shot because the wall's been removed. You can kind of see exactly what kids were working with before. This is the upper level. You can start to see the framing classrooms taking shape with some corridors that are coming in line. And this will be a classroom, and those are the windows that you'll have in the one classroom. So you can actually now, from a classroom, see some trees, see some blue sky, and probably feel a little bit better in those spaces than you do in the dark space.
That's science, you said, Doug? That's science?
That's a standard classroom on the upper floor, looking down towards Buff Road.
I mean, even when there were classrooms with windows, they didn't look like those windows.
No.
I mean, they were like little
tiny.
I mean, it was like, and it's not necessarily a logical place in the wall even.
Right.
That's fantastic.
So you can see there's a classroom with windows, with another classroom with windows. This indentation here with the columns gets infilled, the roof gets infilled and goes straight across, so we don't have those bumps bumping into the rooms or columns in the middle of a room. All of that infill still has to happen.
Same in that corner?
No, the one place we did not address it are the corners. We left, I mean, these window systems will go and new walls will be installed, but those notches.
Why do they corners?
I think from an architectural standpoint, it does not function poorly for the classroom and the orientation of the students and columns, and it worked okay. The others were definitely impeding.
What was the purpose of the others?
It was an architectural element when they created it, to create those little niches, and so they didn't have a running wall all the way down. And especially with little windows that they had, it would look pretty bad, I think. So I guess just 1970s design was a lot different than today. So we took the panels off the building. Those brown panels that you see outside are basically double-sided. There's an outside panel, which is that big panel. There's some insulation in the middle. And the back side of that metal panel is painted, and that's the interior wall that you see in that building today. That's all it was. It was just a little sandwich panel. We did investigations early. We took some pieces off to see where the steel is, where the edge of slab is, where all the existing floor framing is, to be sure that when we come back in here later and put a steel angle across here to tie into the existing structure to support our brick veneer, that all of that works in accordance with the drawing. So we had them go in early and do some investigation. So that's just showing you, the due diligence the contractors are taking as they move through this. That's one of those little notches that gets filled in. Again, same thing. You can see our recycling, all of the concrete material goes in a dumpster, wood in another, metal, we separate all that as part of our LEED process. Here you can see the classrooms as we start to move through the new classrooms taking shape. This is where the classroom, new classrooms will go. It's important that we get this upper level finished, so then we start building the lower level from a staging standpoint. We're not working over top of a new building to put in construction above it. Here you can see the stone pad that's in place. What's interesting on this project is because we were working up against an existing building, the footings for this building, if they were 3 feet down, we would have just trenched, poured our footing up against it, and no big deal. But these footings are down a significant distance because of dimension, because of the soils conditions they had when they built the building. So to try to go down 10 feet or wherever they are would be very expensive. So we're putting in micro piles, which are small columns. They're spaced at specific dimensions. They then trench, and they pour a concrete footing on top of those, and they act like posts or columns you can see at a beach house. It sits up out of the ground, so that footing will run across and will build off top of that existing footing. Before we could put all those concrete or all those micro piles in place, we had to perform a test pile. So they put in three piers. They're down about 20 feet. They bring this rig in. They connect it to the middle, and they put a load on the middle, 1.5 times what the design load is on the other piers. And they pull on the outside to see if everything is actually in compliance and according to the designer's requirements. In this case, we had not a single issue. Everything went well, and they proceeded. So then they they drill these micropiles with this machine. They drill down till they hit refusal. They pour the core with the concrete, and then, as I said, a concrete footing will span over top of these to support the structure above. Here you can see at the auditorium addition a line of the micro piles as well.
Doug, are they reinforced? Are they steel reinforced? Or are they just concrete pillars?
There's a steel pier casing around those as well.
Around, okay.
Yeah, yep. All of the storm structures were delivered, and they started to build. The base is similar to what you saw at Newtown. The underground stormwater management, all of our channels went in. You can see the stone went in, and when it's done, feels like a site. We're able to take advantage of that instead of a big basin that you would lose to mow and it would hold water and discharge over time. We're actually able to build a parking lot over top of it and maximize our building area, so it's beneficial in that regard. This is the parking lot area that will be completed in 2 weeks. These are the storm structures ready to go. Curbs will match up to these heading out towards East Holland Road. The excavations are very interesting. We're digging up what looks like was stone fill in the past. It isn't. The site is just made up of this stone-like product, and it's really great stuff because we're able to use it for fill elsewhere on the site. It's really nice to not have to export material and take advantage of materials we're digging up to recycle on our site. This was that locker room that I spoke of. This faces East Highland Road. You may have seen this happening. Looks a bit messy here, but they were in the middle of working on it. We're now tying into existing stormwater, so this is new. We're going to connect to it and get that to new storm. Here's one of our micro piles off to the side. This is that locker area. It's all cleaned up at this point. They'll begin getting ready for footings here soon. Here's another storm drain. We're going to connect to this and get it out to storm as well. So we're picking up the existing storm drainage, bringing in electric to the site from East Holland. And that's an update of those two projects. It's maybe, I don't know, it's very exciting to me, so.
All right,
I'm gonna go back to
Right.
the first item.
with 3 additional board members have shown up during Doug's presentation. Denise Brooks has shown up, Mark Violet has appeared, has come in, and so has Kyle McKessie. And with that, we have a quorum. And so with that, we're gonna move to the item for board approval, which has come up as a result of some damage at at one of the elementary schools. It is subject to an insurance claim. And so at this point, Kapua, if you want to just take the role of board members, just so we have it,
Even the excellent ones?
we'll just
Yeah.
take the role.
Well, now that we've identified who is late.
Mr. Violet,
Here.
Mrs. Brooks,
Here.
Mr. Brock,
Present.
Mrs. McKessie,
Here.
Mrs. Thomas.
Here.
Dr. Thorwald,
Here.
and the others that are not here is Mr. Block, Dr. Foster, and Mr. T.
Right, all 3 of them have registered. They're either traveling for business or otherwise engaged this evening. We can take a motion if someone wants, there's a motion printed here, if someone wants to make the motion.
I'll read it. I move to award bid number 16-47, Richborough Elementary School ceiling replacement to TE Construction Services LLC at a cost not to exceed $54,750, subject to audit.
Thank you, Mr. Thorwald. Second. Mr. Violet, seconds. Mr. Taylor, you want to walk through the presentation, please?
Yeah, just a couple slides on this. On the 27th of June, on Monday, we came in and we encountered extensive water on the floor of 2 of the main corridors and 2 intersecting corridors, the backside of the building. We had found, after following the trail of water in one of the classrooms beneath the sink, one of the braided hoses that connects to the hot water line had failed. We're not sure if it happened late Sunday, early Monday. At any rate, we have a lot of water on the tile floors, and in that classroom itself, some of it migrated into some classrooms as it went down the hallway, but minimally. Most of it found its way under door thresholds and was going outside, which was good. The bad news is it was a hot water line, so the building was very humid when we came in, to the point where we had condensation on the ceiling. Water was dripping and the tiles were just saturated. And immediately, I said, we have to get the tile out. We can't, they just harbor for bad things to happen. So we said, let's get those out. Called the insurance provider and said, look, you know, we've encountered this. I'm sending you a report on what we found, which I think I shared with you guys. And I said, I'm concerned the ceiling tile have to come out. Can you send someone out to take a look? He said, we don't have to send someone. We agree if you feel they're wet, get them out. That's the right thing to do. We brought in 10 fans, 10, 15 dehumidifiers, brought our team in, brought Aramark's team in. We opened up cleanouts on the floor, got rid of the water squeegee to cleanouts, did everything we could to clean it up. The team did a really good job. I mean, a lot of credit to the facilities guys for diving in and helping, Aramark's help, and for Danielle Jordan and her calm ways during this mess. She was very good at dealing with it. It went very well. So we collected the costs for this. Materials, did an assessment and inventory of the materials that were damaged, any products. We had our environmental consultant come in and run some tests to make sure there weren't any environmental concerns because of the amount of water that was in the building. They came back clean. There are no issues in that regard. But we're left with a large number of ceiling tile, 30,000 square feet roughly of ceiling tile that need to be replaced. It's a big number. We were initially going to say, let's get some quotes, but when we got the quotes, the numbers exceeded what we're permitted to award quotes for. So we then called the insurance agent and let them know we had to bid this. We bid the project. Here's just some shots. You can see the classroom itself. This is ground zero for the problem. Here's one of the hallways. You can see the lights in the ceiling. That's not a gloss finish floor. That's just a lot of water. And you can see the condensation as challenged as the picture is here. You can even see it on this picture. So the belly tile, all of it came out. We cleaned everything up, dried it out. So we went out to bid. We went out on August 5th. We got 7 bidders. The bids range from the low bid that you just made a motion for all the way up to $198,000. It's always a big range. I can't explain it other than, I'm not sure. They were just throwing darts perhaps. The low bidder, who is actually working for us right now on modular removal projects. So the good news is, even though we'll collect the information again, we have their bonds, we have their insurance company. We're very comfortable with this contractor. They actually did the Welsh Elementary School cast stone replacement for us. They did the floors at Richboro Middle School. They've done a lot of work for us throughout the district. Everything has always been very good. Window replacement at Welsh. Very pleased that they got the job, and they're ready to go. They're looking for.
Just curious, was that who you were gonna use before we had to go to RFP?
It's funny you say that. We
Just wondering if the process hinders us with a lot of extra work or helps us. There are times it definitely helps.
Well, they were second low by about $600 when we got quotes. There was someone else who was lower than them on a quote process. We're paying about $15,000 more by prevailing wage competitively bidding after the fact than the quote process. But we know that that happens with public bid and prevailing wage and those things. So. That's an issue we can take up with the state.
So
Prevailing
prior
wage
to
always
having to
has
go to bid,
prices.
it would have been $15,000 less.
If we could have done it through a quote.
Right, prevailing wage is over 25,000.
Prevailing wage, right. So, they are ready to go. They're looking for a phone call from me tonight. They will procure them. They have materials on hold. They didn't want to pick anything up. I said, please, don't spend a single cent, because I can't promise that this will happen. If it does, which I
No,
hope,
we'll go to like kids go with no ceiling tiles.
they will be there Monday.
So evil.
Ready to
That's
go.
how you're running Holland Middle School for a year, so I don't know.
Well, they will be there Monday, ready to go, and in 2 weeks have the entire project done. We will work with them to get spaces ready and move stuff in and out.
So there will be no problem with opening the school.
There'll be no problem. We did this project so that it needs to be done by the 29th, so that when kids come the 29th, it's good. The work will be performed second shift on the 23rd, 24th, and 25th when we have the in-service days. They're not here interfering with the teachers. And they're ready to go. And I'm pleased that it's them. So I'm looking for your approval tonight. We do have an insurance claim in. I will say that the entire claim to this point, which could rise a little bit more, is around $85,000 in totality, including this cost. We have seen some money from our insurance agent already. So
Will they reimburse, how much was our deductible?
I think it's $25,000 or $30,000. So between this and what we've been paid, there's a gap of around 15 grand, but I think we'll put a little more money into a labor standpoint for us to move things in and out. We'll keep track of that and we'll submit the rest and hope that we can collect that as well.
So you're tracking our staff hours?
Yes,
At a rate for all this?
yes, we are.
Looks good to me.
Any other comments? All right, because it's a special,
No.
because it's a special topic, we'll let any other member of the public. Mr. Anderson?
On the agenda, I see the words, the apparent no bidder. I don't remember seeing apparent no bidder before. Is it the low bidder or you're not?
They are the low bidder. When this was written, we hadn't looked at the documents to make sure that the bid bond and everything else that they submitted was good. We give them a chance. I wrote this immediately after we received bids, essentially. So I hadn't had a chance to vet it out and make sure that everything was good. So we then called him and said, hey, you are indeed good with this number. You're gonna honor this, because he has time to withdraw if he's not happy. So, yes, he is the qualified low bidder.
Mr. Abramson, the commentary is not the motion. The motion that speaks
No, I
nothing of
understand
it.
that. I just want to
So are you
know
saying
for
somebody else was
purposes of the-
unqualified that was lower?
You never know. I mean, anytime we receive bids, I will tell people who the apparent low bidders are until such time we run the check off to make sure that all the information checks out and that they don't withdraw their bid, because sometimes they say, hey, we're at 54, the next guy was at whatever. We took a look at our numbers, we realized we made a mistake, we want to withdraw. Then now they're not the low bidder anymore, somebody else is. So
This doesn't go to the motion, but what about other areas? Have they been checked to make sure that we're not going to run into the same problem?
well, we have our district plumber ordering all new connections under the sinks for the entire building. We're replacing them all there. And because the building is the same as Newtown and Hillcrest,
Right.
he's going to follow through into those buildings as well.
At what cost?
I don't know I don't know.
Is it
offhand.
minimal or is it?
It's minimal because it's our labor. So it's, they're $8 a hose times 2 times 30 times 3.
This is not the first time we've had this sort of loss. So I guess my question was, I may have asked this last,
I knew it was coming. I knew this was coming. I'm ready.
what am I asking?
Go ahead.
What am I gonna ask?
What are we doing at Holland?
No, my question really relates
Oh, come
to,
on.
no, you didn't quite get it right. My question relates to, is there water flow in these buildings normally when they're unoccupied? Or is there, in a fire suppression system, you often have a flow sensor, which on the main, which when there's
Sure,
flow.
yeah, because then the alarm triggers and everything.
Exactly, and so I guess my question is there some similar function? Because we had this happen at South when we had a ceiling, in front of the auditorium in some unconditioned space above the ceiling, which got cold and froze, thawed,
Yep.
and then we had a leak. And that was the question at the time, so I ask it again. Is there flow controls or flow sensors that we could install proactively across the district?
Not across the district, because some of our systems are still not digital controls. They're still pneumatic controls. So the building management system, which we would tie this stuff into, allows us to do that on a digital system where we can make the connections and program it and tie it in. Those that are run by a compressor and air hoses to the actuators to make things turn on and off, not so much. But buildings like South, North, newer projects, we could go back and take a look at what it takes to do it at the head end. At Newtown Middle and Holland Middle, we have incorporated that into the design. It can't be just a little flow, because there are outside users that come in on the weekend,
Right.
flush a couple of toilets, all of a sudden our alarms are going off, we don't know what's going on. So it's a flow of like 500 gallons, and all of a sudden we can get messages sent to us, we can
Okay.
get an alarm signal.
So it's something we can look into,
We can look into it.
that's all.
We have incorporated it to 2 new middle school projects. And actually for the engineers there, that was new for them, they've never done it.
Oh.
So that's something that, between you and I,
We're ahead again.
we're ahead of the game.
Other questions?
Doug, real quick, why aren't they hard copper plumbing?
I'm sorry?
Why are we using braided flexi hoses in these things? I mean, couldn't we go hard lines and,
Well, you could, I mean, the braided hoses, they've been there a long,
well, that's the problem with braided hose, yeah, so.
I think even a hard line though, over time, all it takes is
You're probably right.
a pinhole in it from
Yeah,
cardboard
you're
or
probably
whatever it is.
All right, unless there's any objection, I'm gonna ask the secretary to report it as passing with unanimous consent. So it's passed. Thank you.
Can I get Mark
Mark
to sign those 3 contracts if that's possible? And then, Robert, if you're okay, we should get control out of here, let her go
Yeah,
home. right?
absolutely. Good, thank you so much.
Oh, you do.
Okay.
All right, Doug, you're back up.
Is it easier for you, can you get me there quicker, or should I just flip through now? What's easiest?
I'm gonna take a 5-minute break and call them and tell them to start getting their smiles over there. You
I'll
seem
call
very anxious
I'll
about it.
call them when we're done. We don't have a lot left, so unless you
Well, you
guys.
say that every time. You're just,
I'm very
anxious about it.
I am.
Trying to help the cause.
I appreciate
What
it.
is it,
I'm
small
good.
as
I'm just-
11?
Yeah. I know, but you don't have kids this morning where the anxiety of August 29th is different than.
I'm anxious about so many things right now, it doesn't.
One thing off your plate's not gonna
It
change,
won't make a
right?
Xanax, keep going.
Oh, nice, Jen.
So thank you for that. Priscilla, thanks for coming in and helping us tonight. Thank you very much.
She's a rock star.
Capital improvement projects, we have a series of summer projects happening that we need to get ready for the start of school as well. The demo of the modulars is basically complete. The only thing left is restoring some of the areas where they live, but we're in good shape with those. The wireless infrastructure went very well. We're working with Matt to get the actual devices in place. I know they've been delivered. The guys have all, I think they're
finished.
all but finished, right?
Yeah, they're finished with, the 4 elementary schools are done. They did a great job.
And
Who was it?
Kevin?
We just should say their name.
on top of that, they've also did the infrastructure for the video cameras at North and South. And we're in the process of putting those new cameras in, so we're moving along on that as well. So that's camera equipment installation, commissioning, that's access security, they're working on that, it's going well. They will be ready for the start of school. With that, bid package 4 was a whole lot of work. There was railing work at North, which will wrap up the 19th. The acoustical clouds at South, which are complete. Goodell Elementary School acoustical treatment will be finished by the 19th. The computer lab conversion to classrooms will be finished on the 16th of August. If you go into Newtown Elementary School, you would not agree with me, but I promise you, the casework is ordered, the room's been gutted, it's ready for the floor. The floor will start going in this week. Tomorrow, casework will be here next week, and it'll take shape very quickly. Newtown Bus Garage concrete pad is finished. The auxiliary gym repairs at South.
Help me understand, I don't know why I didn't see the context before. What were the auxiliary gym repairs at South?
I'm going to show you some pictures. Everywhere there's a column in the auxiliary gym, we have serious cracking in the masonry. And what happened is they cut the face of they took a block and they cut the back wall of it and ran it out in front of the column. They didn't put any kind of soft joints in. So if there's any movement in the structure separate from the building.
Was this on the wall that separates that gym from the running track?
No. It's
Okay.
on it's on the exterior.
Because that was a $61,000 pad that we did after the building was constructed, so I wanted to know if that, because that might still be in warranty. That would still be within the 10-year potential.
Yeah, this is not. This is, and Hillcrest Elementary School, a miscellaneous floor replacement, which is mostly finished at this point. Welsh Elementary School roof, we just had professional roof services who assist us with that work, do an infrared scan of the areas that were re-roofed. There was no moisture whatsoever. They're in good shape. And South concrete plank repair is in progress. That will be wrapped up shortly. So these are what the stairs look like at North. There was certainly concern for the distance here and you know, someone potentially going, not a student, of course, but a parent bringing a kid after hours. We put handrails on here that meet code, so you can actually grab a handrail if you were to start to fall on the step, where you just physically need to hold those to go up the step. The guard height did not meet the 42-inch height, so we extended the wood on those to match the code required height. We then put mesh infill on the outside of those verticals so that we have the fall protection that's required. So we kept the stairs that were there, we just supplemented with some additional work to reduce the cost. These are mechanically fastened, they didn't have to come in and do a lot of welding or anything like that to help save time as well. So you can see that we're in better shape than we were. The auditorium also had very large openings at the ends. The architect went with the wood to match the existing wood in that area to protect the ends of what I call the lavatory seating, the seating in the back. The concrete pad, which isn't all that exciting, but if you're a guy that fills the bus with propane, you're happy. The roofs at Welsh are basically finished. We have the lawn areas that we have to restore, but we're in good shape. They're excited about this area. They want to use it as additional play area for the kids. There's a nice area in the back.
Looks like a drainage basin in the front.
It looks like a bocce court.
It does.
Yeah, you know, it's because this was, last year, this is where the other modulars were. So we worked this way and they worked out through the, they wanted to just come here, but this is Holland in front of us. So they couldn't, they had to kind of sweep through the side. And these will come out as well. So Jerry, in the auxiliary gym, everywhere there's a column, it was so bad here, they had plywood up because pieces of the block were falling. So it was, I mean, a lot of these things I'll look past and I'll keep on the list and they won't be high priority, but when block starts falling on kids' heads, I move it to a high priority.
No, it's just.
No kids were hurt during
No
the
kids were
filming.
hurt in the making of these pictures. There was a whole discussion when we first opened this building about a climbing wall. Where should the climbing wall be? So it's just
Yeah, that's over here where the.
on the
where it isn't
infill
falling
wall.
apart.
On the
That's a good
infill
news.
wall, yeah.
And actually, it's not a structural issue. I mean, not a major structural issue. It's that wherever there's a column and you had block running in front of it, well, this might be an 8-inch block. It's about an 1.5 inch wall when it runs past it. All of these, we saw cut each side. We put a solid soap block, you know, like a 1 5/8 block in front of it, stack bonded it, and there's masonry reinforcing every 16 inches back to the column. And there's a soft joint on each side. So there's it ties into the block on each side to the column behind it, soft joints. So now if there's any movement here, those soft joints should take that movement versus the block itself. These will all be painted by the end of the week and that space is good to go.
And this is an architect who designed that. It's not involved with the two buildings we're doing now.
What's that?
The architect who designed this is not the architect involved in any of the two buildings we're doing now.
Thank
That's
you.
correct. Yeah, these are the soft joints, that's the horizontal joint, all tied together, good to go. Very tough picture to see, the space was not well lit, but I wanted to show you the additional clouds that were installed across the front that they've been asking for many, many years. So it's finished, there's sprinkler heads, you can see a little circle, there's a sprinkler head in each one of these, just as there are in all the existing. It's been tied into the sprinkler system, we're good to go. Hopefully voices are now projected out and not up. I'm hoping for the best. Goodnow Elementary School, the cafeteria was very lively, very loud, a lot of reverberation from the students in a very loud space. Kids are excited, happy to eat. And we have acoustical panels going in the ceiling, going on the walls. This is the start of some of the panels. That will be wrapped up by the 19th as well. Miscellaneous update. A couple other contracts, thank you very much, thank you. A couple other contracts that I'll be getting out in front of you in the near future. Snow removal service, which really excites me.
105 degrees.
Salt and de-icing materials, I love talking about it when it's hot out. And emergency generators. I came to you with a series of service contracts not long ago. One that wasn't in there that we realized should have been was emergency generators. We've had them serviced just now, so we're good for the next 3 or 4 months, so it's not an emergency to get to the emergency generators. But
On the snow and ice topic, we're expecting reimbursement from FEMA?
we're working on that. They asked us for some additional information. Bob's team has provided that, so we expect some reimbursement.
You got an idea what the number is?
I think it's about 40,000.
Okay, for the snow removal for the January blizzard.
Yes,
Yes,
for that weekend.
that's the number that I raised. And then professional services will be solicited over the next several months. Every 3 years, I bring in a new architect or the same if they're low and, you know, it works. to do our summer work. So GKO Architects has been working with us the last 3 years. We tried someone different before that, it didn't go very well. After 2 of the 3 years, we decided to change it out to somebody different. So we'll put these back out, we'll see who shakes out in this, and then evaluate that and be back in front of you with that. So they would be our team for the next 3 years, if hopefully the right team. Some donations, there'll be donation. This one is actually on the board agenda. Rolling Hills Elementary School, home and school, has a sound system for the gym and stage area. The estimated cost is about $9,000. They're also going to use the same system, the same vendor at Welsh. They're going to be coming to me with a donation as well. Because they're teaming up the 2 projects, we're realizing that $9,000 per project cost. There's a 5% discount to the PTO HSA for doing that. So waiting for Welsh. Richboro Elementary School is working on a shade structure with built-in benches, similar to what Newtown Elementary School did outside of their cafeteria, where there's an overhang and it gets hard packed dirt to kind of clean it up and make it nice. So waiting for that to come through as well.
Do you know, I don't know how you would necessarily, are other PTOs as generous as ours?
You mean other districts?
In other districts? I mean, is this unusual, or do we just have the best PTOs?
I've done a lot of
Which is what
work.
I believe, but.
I know I have done a lot of work with other districts in my own life, and I've worked with some PTOs for playgrounds and things like we're talking about, courtyard beautification things. But honestly, I never in my past saw the kind of dollars donated to a district the way our PTO, from school, PTA groups do here.
And I don't feel like it is all
It's really
based on demographics. It's not, I mean, we have
It's
it,
across the board.
right,
It's across.
regardless of the demographic and the income levels of where it's pulling from. I just wanted to know if it was elsewhere.
No,
too, because it
it's
seems so
exceptional.
special to
It's
me.
fantastic. There are times that come to me and said, we want to give you money to fix our asphalt. I'll say, absolutely not. That's something we need to take care of. We'll go out, we'll take care. There's certain things that
Right.
it's not for them to provide, and they would say, okay, well then fix it. So we do our best to keep after some of that stuff as well. I think last thing on my agenda, Holland Elementary School. I came to you in the past. I said that a lot of the tile floors are delaminated in the toilet rooms. They started their work August 1st. They're planned for a 19 August completion. They've come through. This is a large gang toilet, whether it's boys or girls. All of this was tile floor. This is a what I call an Epiflex material. It's like a fiberglass material with a binder that allows for some movement in the joint. They'll put a soft joint in the tile over these existing saw cuts in the slab, so that if there's movement in the slab, it doesn't telegraph through the tile. So there'll be like a caulk joint to match the grout, and everything else will be hard grouted. What they're realizing, and this again is not an issue for us, it's an issue between Roma Mosaic and Stubner, who's the general contractor. Between them, they're arguing that, Roma came in and started working and said, hey, yeah, if it's ours, we'll do it. As they were taking tile out, that's tile underneath. This is the flash patch. This is the material between the concrete floor and the tile itself. To level the floor, they'll come in with a self-leveling cementitious product, float it across the floor. Then the tile guy will come in and put tile on it. The flash patch is lifting off the concrete. So the tile guy is saying, well, what am I doing here? Like, I'm fixing a product that bonded to the flash patch. This isn't my fault. So now there's a little bit of...
How does that happen?
When they first they didn't prepare the concrete properly, so when they put the self-leveling down and it cured and you were ready to put tile down, it was bonded. But then over time, that self-leveling product started to lose its bond and failed.
Basically glue.
You can hear it when you sound it, you tap it, you can hear it's hollow underneath. So for whatever reason, it didn't bond the way it needed to. So they're taking care of the large rooms that they promised us they would do. There's other rooms where there's small areas that need to be addressed. There's going to be some pushback on that. So I now have to follow through with the contractor and their subcontractor on how to address that. So stay tuned. I'm going to keep working on this. to get them back, but right now we're getting the big areas done that were most problematic.
It'll be ready for the 29th.
Yes, absolutely. You can see barrels of old product being taken out. So Roma Mosaic is very good. They're a very good terrazzo tile contractor, one of the best actually. So I'm confident in their work. It's just an issue between them and another contractor. That's all that I have. Our next meeting is September 8th. Happy to answer any questions you guys might have.
I was for the public comment. I was in Pittsburgh for a holiday and I toured Mount Lebanon high schools. They just finished a $110 million renovation of their high school. So it was very nice to be shown around, a little different than some of the things we've done. Really on a huge scale, just large, amazing things. But what I thought was interesting was they just finished a $110 million renovation, and they have a $6 million giving program running to try and gather additional money from the community. And Mount Lebanon is about half the size of Northampton, or maybe it's the size of Northampton. It's about 30,000, 34,000. They're looking together to get $6 million from the community. That's their goal for additional things that the district had wanted. So it is interesting. It's something. It's not a tax. It's through a giving program. So it's something we might want to understand. I don't know. If their times are different than our times. Their superintendent was very proud to explain that they only own 4 buses. I tried to explain that we also only own 4 buses, but we rent 175. So it was interesting, and I just mentioned it that they've reached out to the community to try and they've laid out some plans apparently for what they want the money for. So they have a whole organized roster of things they're trying to achieve that are kind of on the want versus need realm, and see if they can get public support. Maybe it's something we should.
It's the same as the PTOs do.
It is, and that's why I
It's
bring
just
it up.
that the PTOs really do it mostly at the elementary level.
Exactly, and the PTOs do it, and while I don't think we have a significant problem with it, we had at one time, years ago, talked about if, we would say no, I think, but if a PTO said, well, we want to fund the teacher we want to make an extra section for this grade, we really can't support that, to Doug's point, which is there are certain things, because then you would have a differentiation in schools. It's just inappropriate. I just put it out as a conversational topic for maybe, later or something we could think about.
How do they make donations to the school?
You can make cash donations to a.
We've accepted them though, just like we've accepted people donated and then we used it for a baseball field or something. So if somebody can make a donation, if it's over $5,000, we have to accept it, right? If it's under 5,000.
Years ago, Jane gave $5,000 cash to the school to.
Well, if an individual donates to a district, is there a tax deduction for it?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
So it's really just, it's a capital campaign.
Exactly.
They just get a lot of.
What's the deductible under? It's not a charitable
Nonprofit.
contribution. Nonprofit.
I would think.
I would think.
I don't. I mean, obviously.
That's why
There's obviously that would compete with prep.
$6 million.
But
I still remember sitting at a PTO and I'm talking about another PTO. On one night, we raised $27,000.
talk to Tim about it and introduce yourself.
I think you and I were
I don't want the spam.
probably the PTO presidents.
Any other board comment,
Stand list.
questions? Public comment? Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Rick, always